Dabar norėčiau pakviesti dar vieną svečią iš užsienio. Į konferenciją atvyko Mathilde Marengo. Mathilde Marengo yra australų, prancūzų, italų architektė, Katalonijos pažangiosios architektūros instituto fakulteto vadovė, taip pat doktorantė InnoChain EU mokslinio tyrimų projekte. Mathilde Marengo pranešimo tema Responsive Cities.
So, first and foremost, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. So, as mentioned before, I'll be talking about responsive cities, so how we can enhance citizen engagement through advanced technologies. Firstly, I would like to explain a little bit where I'm from. So, I am coming from the Institute for Advanced Architecture of Catalonia, which is an education, research, digital fabrication and promotion center based in Barcelona. The project you can see actually behind in the back of the slide there is the Endesa Pavilion. It's a solar pavilion that we developed for the Smart City Expo in Barcelona in 2011 in partnership with Endesa, which is the electricity company there. So this was the control center for the Smart City Expo, and basically it's a solar prototype that's been parametrically designed and optimized for solar gain, but also to control the climatic condition within the pavilion itself. And so it was designed for the specific location in Barcelona and managed to produce twice the energy it needed to run. We are dedicated to shaping the future habitat for our society and building it in the present. So this is very important for us. We're not interested in speculating for some far future, but rather understanding how we can, through education, research and digital fabrication, make real change in our cities for our society today. Another parenthesis, this project in the back here is a fab car. So we hosted Fab Lab Barcelona as part of our institute. It's the first Fab Lab in the European Union, and it's the biggest and currently is the coordinator for the Global Fab Academy programs. And in 2014 we hosted the Global Fab Lab meetup, where we proposed the topic of from Fab Labs to Fab Cities, so understanding how we can generate locally productive but globally connected cities. And among these things, and in line with that, we decided that we would try to fabricate a car in our Fab Lab. As you can see, it was a semi-success. We managed to fabricate the chassis at least, but nonetheless, it was at the very least a fun thing to do. So a little bit more about the Institute. So the Institute is working around the concept of advanced architecture. So what is advanced architecture? This is architecture where technology is integrated. So architecture, when the Institute was founded, went through a change in paradigm where architecture was no longer only physical but also became digital. So advanced architecture represents this change in paradigm. Today we are focusing on the following. I'm going to read out a quote from our academic director. The information society brings a digital revolution, dealing with collectivism, connectivity and endless proximity. Can the machine think? Can the building think? Can they evolve? We started talking about the Internet of Cities, the Internet of Buildings. The innovative technologies and the information in the experience era are mutating the way we inhabit our environment. We are moving from a form of habitat in which architecture is not merely sheltering, but becoming evolutionary, technologically integrated, and even personalized by the users of the spaces. To understand a little bit more, I want to quickly go through our approach and how we work. So we work based on 5 different sort of pillars, I would say. The first is systemic design, so looking at design as a multidisciplinary field of research. We work in a multi-scalar manner, so from bits to geographies, through the digital to the physical. And we develop design through research or research through design. We practice learning by doing, so we work with real case studies, real-time data and information. We use the city as a laboratory, and we work together in collaboration with the industry to work on real projects to make real change. We also look at sharing information. So we have distributed educational formats. We are globally connected and locally productive. And we work in a way of multi-directional learning. We also have a lot of, well, we are adaptable. So we are working with constantly evolving educational and research formats in a dynamic environment. And we have a horizontal structure, so we believe that we are all researchers and we are all learning together. With regards to the city as a laboratory, we are based in Barcelona, which I think is a very positive point for us. In fact, Barcelona in 2014 won the iCapital Award, so the European Capital for Innovation. It was actually the first time that the European Commission gave that award, and the city won the award for introducing new technologies that bring the city closer to its citizens. So with that in mind, what have been the main drivers of our urban habitat today? So, roads have shaped our cities, cars have shaped our roads, desires have shaped our cars. But do our desires shape our cities? So more than 70% of the EU citizens live in urban areas, and urban areas are obviously the center for economic development, services, knowledges, and creativity. Looking a little bit at the public space, we see that the public space that we inhabit today was basically built before the industrial or during the Industrial Revolution. So what are the potentials that new technologies can bring to this public space? And how can we collectively rethink the functioning and structure of our streets, avenues, spaces in line with these new technologies? So looking also a little bit at the current trends of our urban environment, we're going towards pedestrianisation, so this is a very well-known example of Times Square. And Barcelona is in fact working in a similar direction. So I don't know if you are very, know Barcelona? Yes? Okay, well anyways. The expansion from 1856 onwards, the Eixample, so the plan designed by Ildefonso Cerdà, works on a grid system, as we can see here, where each road is a one-way street and goes one way and then the other, and same thing works vertically, so from the mountains to the coast. So the Urban Ecology Agency, led by Salvador Rueda, proposed a plan to create from the blocks, here, to a superblock. So basically making a 3x3 grid where in fact the car traffic continues to navigate but in a 3x3 grid. And what happens is the interior spaces become or free up mostly for pedestrian or public space. So why the superblocks? So Barcelona was facing huge levels of air pollution as well as noise pollution. And so basically with the Superblock project, what happens is by reducing only 21% of the traffic, we actually free up 60% of the space. So this is quite an amazing piece of information because we reduce the traffic minimally, but in fact we free up a lot of space. The City Councillor for Ecology, Urbanism and Mobility, in line with this, says that we need to gain back our streets. And this is an opportunity to reduce mobility, to reduce the air pollution, but also the noise pollution that Barcelona suffers from. So what would this look like on an urban scale? Well, basically, if we start to multiply these blocks, we can start to see that we reduce the traffic substantially. And so the city government of Barcelona set up 6 aims for these superblocks. So looking at more sustainable mobility solutions, revitalizing public space. As you can see, the central part of the superblocks becomes open for public space. Promoting biodiversity and urban green. Looking at the promotion of urban social fabric and social cohesion. Promoting self-sufficiency of resources. And integrating governance processes. So a couple of years ago, the City Council of Barcelona actually actuated the first superblock, which is here. This is the historical center of Barcelona. This area is called Poblenou. Actually, where we work in IAC is located just here, so very close to where we were. They activated the first superblock. And considering the principles that the Superblock design is based on and its objectives, I, for one, as an urbanist, was very positive in this project. However, the public reception of the Superblocks was very negative, surprisingly. So basically here we have no Superia. Superia is Superblock in Catalan. And this is the neighborhoods associations that don't want the Superblock. On top of which the main newspaper, Supermanzana, is Superblock in Spanish, because we have Catalan and Spanish. And they're actually questioning whether this will actually help to reduce air pollution. So the reception was, on a whole, very, very negative. So if we actually look at day one of the Superblock, we start to understand maybe a little bit why. So basically they activated the Superblock, but already we can see here this restaurant is not using the newly freed up public space here that they could be occupying. The actual asphalt, the space of the city hasn't changed in any way. So people are kind of like, what's going on here? I don't really understand what the change is. And also asking the citizens, they felt like this process was developed in a very top-down way and they weren't at all engaged in the process. So we asked ourselves the question of how we can enhance user inputs and citizen engagement in the design of our urban environment. So together with our students from the Master in City and Technology, we developed a gaming interface which would allow to collectively design the public space that we inhabit. So the gaming interface is called Supervisor, Tu Diseño Tu Barrio, which means your design, your neighborhood. And it's a gaming interface that offers the possibility to people to actually engage within the design through gaming, selecting different kinds of modules that they can position in public space. I have the game here on a tablet afterwards if someone would like to play. And start to take an active role in the design of their neighborhood, because we managed to collect the data, obviously, from this gaming interface, and this data can then be shared with the local governments. So we did an event, I don't know if, no. How do I play the video? Okay, so we did an event in the Superblock to engage with the local community, to understand on one side the efficiency of the gaming interface in itself that we designed, but also to have a little bit of feedback from the citizens of what they were expecting for this space to be designed. So the platform is very simple. You log in, it gives you a welcome. You have a series of modules that work in different categories, from leisure, knowledge, energy, ecology, economy. And you can basically drag and drop these modules into the Superblock, the 3D of the space. And from that we start to get a series of data and information that allows us to understand what the citizens expect or what the citizens desire from the design of their public space. More importantly, this game is not only a design platform, but it's also a platform that allows to start creating a dialogue or an understanding of what it actually means to design a city for a citizen. So the citizens actually have the opportunity to learn from this gaming interface. So as you can see up here, we have a series of counters that allow you to understand, while positioning each of these modules, what the impact of positioning this module would be in urban design. So basically each module is associated to a score, and according to all the modules that you place, you understand what kind of impact your design has. So the idea is to have the most balanced design possible, and with the highest points possible. You don't want an unbalanced design. By this, for example, if we add lots and lots and lots of trees, we have a very high ecological impact. However, our economy is very low. So it allows citizens, but also designers, to understand what the impacts of urban design is. Of course, as I was saying, it's very important that we can actually collect data from the people playing these games, and we can use this data to potentially understand how we could design, together with the citizens, these spaces. Not only is it important to have applications, but also to understand multiplication. So testing these kinds of gaming interfaces or gamification for urban design in different scenarios. So we then went on, after Supervisor in Barcelona, we went to Genoa, a city in the north of Italy, to test the game out there in the refurbishment of an ex-military area, which is in the center, well, not in the center, but in the outskirts of the city. And we also went to Favara in the south of Italy, where we tested the gaming interface out with children, so looking at different age ranges, and how different people interact with this gaming interface. So taking that into consideration, in a scenario where our urban environments are very dynamic and they're constantly changing, how can we begin to navigate these urban spaces? And I just want to quickly touch on a project that was developed by one of our Master in Advanced Interaction students. And it was looking at developing a wearable that could allow diversely abled people to navigate their urban environment, taking into consideration all the changes that happen throughout the urban environment. So basically what happens is, through an app, you put in where you want to go or what your final destination is, and the wearable, through a series of vibrations and sensors that you can see here, can tell you how to navigate the city or your urban environment to get to your final destination. So it's quite interesting to think of the fact that we can start to use our own bodies as the interface to navigate these cities, even if we don't have all our abilities intact. And the final project that I want to look at looks at a little bit what David was talking about before with the Urban Sync app. Beyond designing new spaces, how can we integrate feedback or user inputs through real-time data in the spaces that we already have available today, and how can we use this information to shape our urban habitat? And this is a project that's developed by two of our students from Master in City and Technology, one of whom is from Lithuania. So yay. And the interface looks at, again, located in the Superblock. So this topic has been a very hot topic in Barcelona. Understanding how, through an app, we can have direct or real-time feedback with our urban space. So you connect to the app, you have an interface where you can check the map, but you also have an augmented reality platform where you can start to comment in real time and in real space your feelings, your emotions. So you can have speech bubbles and write comments. You can use emojis in the space to sort of give feelings, and you can also visualize all of the other people's comments within this space. So this allows us to create a series of maps throughout the daytime of the emotional or like the feelings of people within these spaces, and also according to different events that happen within the Superblock. Not only this, but it allows us also to collect data and information on a web platform. So not only are we giving people the opportunity to give their feedback, but we're also collecting this information that can serve us as urban planners and as designers to sort of continue evolving this urban space. So the idea is that we have a feedback loop, or a constant feedback loop, between the information that we collect from people who are seeing and participating or living the spaces and the decision making that we make, allowing people to join in within this decision making process, but also have performative outputs. Can you play the video again? Thank you. So this is a small video of the project. It's called Habla, which means speak. This is Saule from Lithuania, from Vilnius actually. And as I was saying, the platform is based on augmented reality. So you can actually see the space and you can actually comment within the physical space on your phone. So you're not commenting on a map, but you're commenting on the space itself, and you can see the space in its dynamic mode. So you can leave comments on speech bubbles. You can see everyone else's comments. As you can see in the background, well, you can't really see, so you can scan what your neighbors are talking about, but you can start to see that this was done the year after the Superblock was initiated, so there are already elements that are starting to inhabit the public space. So it's also interesting because this public space is being built as we speak, and as we speak you have the opportunity to sort of give your feedback on the project in itself. And I think I've been very, very, very fast. But basically what I want to say is that through data-driven decisions, we can allow to move away from speculative solutions. So we can integrate real-time information and data, mixing both top-down and bottom-up decision-making processes, so engaging in a dialogue with the citizens and the users of these spaces. It's very important to be able to engage in a dialogue with tools that both the citizens and the planners can understand. So gaming interfaces can be an opportunity to understand how we can create this dialogue, a tool that allows to speak the same language in a certain sense. And how we can then engage together in decision-making processes. So actuating towards the generation of responsive cities, so cities that respond to the desires of the users, but also to the desires of the urban planners and the decision makers within the city, working all together to shape our urban environments. And with that, I thank you. Achu.